All right, as usual, we'll open with the opportunity for public input from anyone in the audience. Do we have any hands up, Michelle, or no? All right.
No, I don't see any.
All right, well, let's move right along then. And we'll turn it over to Tom for the announcements.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. To the public watching for boards and committee openings, just please be on the watch for upcoming openings on our boards and committees on our website. List of openings be forthcoming. And in fact, Michelle, Trudy, and I are meeting later this week to go over some more boards, committees, and commissions and appointments for that. So we'll be meeting on that later this week and updating the board.
And if you'd like to continue on, Tom, with your report.
Certainly. Some of these items the board is aware of, but I just want to make sure the public also is aware of.
We lost you, Tom. Tom, you've gone mute.
I'm unmuted now.
All right.
Thank you. The first announcement is, as the board's aware, last week we asked our department heads for any interest they may be in utilizing the $1.4 million left in ARPA funds that the town has. As the board and the public is aware, the select board is the approving agency for the town for use of ARPA funds. We received probably requests from most departments. There's two we're still waiting on. One is the water department and one is Iron Rail. But we have submitted those requests to the board. We have approximately 1.4 million to spend, and the amount that's been submitted in requests are 2.7 million, almost 2.8 million. That's excluding water and any outstanding Iron Rail rent. The next step is, once I get the Iron Rail money and the water request, hopefully you'll be getting that this week, I'll be forwarding the completed list to Jamie and Jim Purdy. The board already has the list of requests. Now, the next steps will be submitting it to our auditors to determine which of these requests are actually legal in the eyes of ARPA funds. Like, you cannot, if I put in saying, okay, you can pay Tom Younger's salary, that wouldn't be considered a legal use of ARPA funds. So we're not certain if all of the requests, these specific items, can be included. So I will be forwarding that to the auditors for their review. Once that's completed, I mean, I would recommend, more than likely, I may not be here working for you. I don't want to say like I may not be here, period, in this world, but I will not be, it'll probably be under Steve, but I would recommend that the board has a public meeting on use of these funds with all the department heads, to have them make presentations, and also with the public, to hear what the public thinks. Communities are doing that across the Commonwealth to get a feeling about what their interest is. Doesn't mean the public has the final say on it, but I think it's a good thing to get them involved and to see what they think of the proposed projects by the department heads, and maybe what they may be thinking about what may be important to the community. So I mean, I would recommending to the board that you start looking at that within the next 4 to 6 weeks. You have 3 years to spend the funds, so you're not under any particular rush. You're not under a particular rush to spend it all in one fell swoop. You know, we have 1.4. You may want to allocate 600,000 and keep 800 in reserves at this point. But that's something that the board should be looking at in the, I would say, the next 4 to 6 weeks. Now, if there's any comments or,
Any questions on that, Diana, Peter?
I have a quick question. So Tom, you said we're requesting from the staff. So we'll put together a list, and that list will go to the FinCom and the auditors before it goes through us in a public hearing. Is that correct?
well, the board already has the list with the exclusion of the water estimate in the iron rail. I'd like to give a complete package to the finance committee and Jamie, so I'm just waiting to get those last 2 numbers, hopefully this week. And once I get that, that will go out to them, but it'll also go to the auditors to make a determination which of those areas may be included. Give you a point, there is a couple of requests in there for carpeting, as you see. Carpeting in buildings, one was library, one I believe was one of our public safety buildings. That may not be an eligible use of ARPA funds. So before the board starts deliberating on that, I'd rather you not approve something and then find out that you can't utilize it. So I'd rather have the auditors get that back to the board to say, yes, you can consider these particular items.
Okay, that makes sense to me. I understand. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
But I think the overall process you've laid out, I think makes sense.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Next is more of a timing update. I knew the finance board and the select board before I got here was very interested in when our audit reports were being done. So trying to give you an update where we're going right now for the FY22 audit. And next week on Monday and Tuesday, the auditors are going to be in town hall to begin the preliminary audit. So it's getting underway for the new one. And I hope the board is kept aware in the finance committees of the dates of the audit when it's being done. And then for eventually probably a fall presentation to the select board and the finance committee. Next, in the next few weeks, sorry, if you see seal coating going on in the parking lot in the police station, fire station, our lots, Public Works Director is setting up the seal coating work and the new striping down there. So we'll all know where to park specifically in the proper spacing at Town Hall. And I want to thank Rich for this because this is something that we should be really focusing on is ongoing regular maintenance in our facilities. Mike is doing a wonderful job since he's been moved to facilities director. But the one thing that you're seeing in the ARPA funds, the new carpet requests, they can't remember, the departments can't remember the last time the carpets were cleaned in town hall. I asked questions about when was the last time we had the windows washed in the buildings, exterior and interior. So going in the future, I think that's something the board should really, and Steve should focus on with our department heads, is working with our budget for a long-term maintenance of our buildings. So we don't have issues where we have carpets coming up in all the buildings simultaneously and that we have to replace them. So that's just future thoughts for the permanent TA when they come on. Next, and the board's aware of this, and the public, is that Lisa Craig has resigned from our Board of Assessors. We wish her the best. Her term expires in 2023, but the Select Board and the Board of Assessors will have to have a joint meeting to appoint an individual to fill out Lisa's terms. I spoke to Gary about this earlier today, about the aspects of different types of processes they could do. And I believe, Gary, you're going to be speaking with the chair of the Board of Assessors.
Yes.
And discussion goes around basically how much and how long do we leave the position open to recruit or have people submit their names to be considered, and whether if there's multiple candidates, does the select board and the board of assessors interview those candidates before they make that vote? So it's very important, and however the both boards feel that they should be going forward with that, but particularly with the shared services coming up with the board of with the assessors, this is fairly important to get this position filled within the next few weeks. One more item before I get to some money issues. One there, as we all know, our legislation for the 3 to 5 board has been filed. They have not scheduled a hearing yet on that. I check it every day. And as of today, the hearing with the Committee on Municipalities and Regional Governments has not been scheduled yet. As of now, it's still a virtual hearing. Money items. Two things, and they're both good. So if there's anything I've helped with our team get during my tenure here is more funds for the town, which is always great. We've received, as informed the board, almost $92,000 this week in winter recovery assistance program funds from the state. It's a one-time fund, and it's going to be utilized by our Public Works Department for everything regarding our roads for rehabilitation, reconstruction, resurfacing, preservation, striping, painting, replacement of traffic control devices, signage, guardrails, and storm grates. And so I forwarded the information to Mr. Souza, and he'll be putting that together with the state. The good news on this is when they were talking about this, I was estimating we would be getting about 75,000. We ended up with almost 92,000 because the formula they used this year for this was not the Chapter 90 fund formula. The Chapter 90 formula, which actually hurts us, is a combination of local roadway mileage, population, and employment numbers in our community. This is just based on road mileage, they decided, which actually is better for us because we're a predominantly residential community for Chapter 90, so our employment numbers aren't that high, with probably the largest employer being Gordon College. And population, we're basically 5,000, so those two hurt us. But with this just being 27.5 of our miles, that actually increased the formula to us by about $16,000. And for a small community, that does go a long way. Next, the governor has filed legislation for use of ARPA funds that the state required, where there's a distribution to all 351 cities and towns. And that would include $250,000 to Wenham, what is known as a downtown improvement grant, but they're not clear of what that entails, whether that entails funding for businesses that were hit by COVID, whether it means that we can use it for sidewalk work, signage work downtown, not clear. But it appears that every town got something, and we in Hamilton both had the same number of $250,000. So we have to see how that makes its way through the legislature, and then if that's approved, how it gets distributed to the towns and how we utilize it. And last, this is a federal request, and Rich will be looking into this. From the feds is a federal Safe Street and Road for All program. Doesn't have an acronym yet, but we have to apply with the Federal Department of Transportation. And that will be out sometime in May for the application, with award announcements in late 2022 or 23. And Rich will be looking into that to apply for that. So it's great that we're getting additional roadway funds in our community. And I know Mr. Souza will be putting them to good use. So thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, board members.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions, Diane or Peter?
I did, but now I don't remember. But I do thank you, Tom, for bringing attention to all these possible grants and money things. I think that's awesome, and I hope we take advantage of that. It'd be great.
Oh,
I agree.
if you don't ask for it, Diane, you don't get it. And
But if you
that's,
don't know about it, you can't ask for it, so you can't get it. So you
Okay.
have to know about it first. I think that's been great on your part, for sure.
thank you.
Well, thank you. Just a couple other announcement notes. I noticed that the sign is up on the front of Town Hall for the water restrictions starting 1 May on watering and so forth. And also on the electronic sign, the water department is running the water barrel, rainwater barrel. So those are available to the public as well. Otherwise, on the chair's report, I'll delay talk about the workshop for the select board to later on. But I think DPW is doing a great job cleaning up town. I see they're very busy on the parks and streets and so forth. And driving around, I also saw that the food project on Larch Row is back in business for the season, and went up there and they're about ready to start planning, even if it's a few chilly nights here. The last thing I know Michelle is working on, and I should think that shortly we'll have a full calendar for the year that the select board can work off of. That will include all the meeting dates, and we'll start putting in all the recurring items that come up each year, licenses, leases, and so forth. So we'll get that published out to the 3 board members shortly. Diane, Peter, your
That's a
board
great
reports.
report.
Yeah, so I'll say this, I'm meeting with, oh my God, Eric Mansfield tomorrow at the, at our 2 wells.
Yes,
And Margaret Hoffman sent me something about an hour ago that there's a new organization, it's called PI, and I can't remember what it stands for, but it's the Ipswich River, the Essex River, and I can't remember which the river north of here, but they're all like the Ipswich River is one of the top 10 most endangered rivers in the country. And we know why that is, and it's all the upstream guys. So I'm going to slowly kind of get into that because when I saw the Hamilton band sign going up the other day, I mean, it just really irritates me. We're getting screwed. So.
well, that's good because we know, although we are a well water community, the fact that we are geographically within the district does restrict our consumption based upon the river level each year. And if you talk to Eric, a couple of years ago, portions of the Ipswich River actually went dry. So, and also in past years, we have been up to very close to absolute limits as to what we draw out of the system. So the conservation is critical going forward in the summer.
Yeah, and they say that actually the Essex River is worse than the Ipswich River, which is kind of almost unimaginable.
All right. All right. Next slide then, please, Michelle. And I think this brings up Trudy Reed, our town clerk, to give us an update on our new precinct setup.
Hi, thought Michelle had a slide of the map.
Yes,
There we
you
go. Thank you, Michelle. So I just wanted to give you a brief update because the last time I talked about this, we actually had taken a vote on whether or not to stay 1 precinct with a sub or go into 2 precincts. So the board voted to go with a sub precinct, which means local elections, we can run as 1 election. State elections will have to run as 2 elections since we'll be represented by 2 different state reps. So just to give you a brief update, I've worked with the state, I've worked with the census people at the state elections, just confirming that all of our addresses are correct. We had to move a few people around to make sure that they were in the right precinct, had a few duplicates. So we've come up with an accurate list. Later this week or the first part of next week, I'm going to be sending out a letter to all of the residents, just letting them know what has taken place with this re-precincting and what that means to them coming state elections. So basically, I don't think you can see it very well, but my left, I'm not sure how you're looking at this map, but my left, sort of the bigger part of the town, that is precinct, or that's sub-precinct 1A, which is basically anything west of Main Street, which would include Topsfield Road, Cherry Street, Cedar Street, everything on that side. Precinct 1 will be anything east of Main Street. That includes Gordon College, Larch Lane, Larch Row, Grapevine, the Maples, that part of town. So we'll still be voting on one location at Town Hall, but our state elections will look like we're running 2 precincts. So I just wanted to give you an update on that the project is finalized, and I will be sending out letters later this week or the first part of next week to notify everyone, which is a requirement of the state. So are there any questions?
Diane, Peter?
Great job.
Thanks.
The,
You did a beautiful job on the map.
Yes. Is the precinct populations based upon total population or voter rolls?
It's based on total population, because the residents who are not registered to vote could become registered voters. So they
Right.
base it on the inhabitants of the town, not the registered voters.
Very well. So the public will be receiving those letters shortly. Thank you.
Yes.
I thought of a question.
Yeah.
So how do they count Gordon College? Do they count that as inhabitants?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we only have about 75 to 80 registered voters over there out of the population of probably 1,200.
Right.
But it's the way the
Cookie
it's
crumbles.
the way, that's right. That's right. And I have both state reps. It'll be new to us. Sally Kearns and Jerry Paracella have both stopped in, and we've had a nice chat, and I've had an opportunity to meet them both. So we're on
So
our way to.
who's going to which precinct?
Jerry gets 1.
Okay, East
So
and Gordon.
yes. So, and then Sally, yeah, because that's closer to the Beverly area, where Sally is more Danvers, so she'll get 1A.
Just for what it's worth, Jerry Paracella is a very good friend of mine. No, the very good friend of a very good friend of mine who lives in Beverly, and I've actually met him. And he said he wants to be as helpful as he can for his new people that he's representing in Wenham.
Well, and when I met Jerry, I learned of his connection to another Wenham resident. I guess they were either college roommates or they lived together at some point, but we have several good connections with Jerry, and I'm sure these residents will help us out if we need to.
Sounds good. Thank you, Trudy.
Thank you.
All right. So, Tom, do we have someone to speak to the band documents?
I can speak to them.
Right.
Okay, thank you. These are for short-term bonding for 3 of projects that actually began prior to my coming here and starting as earlier as 2018. These are short-term borrowing for, one of them is a fire truck. The second is for work at Iron Rail. And the third is for some of the work at Longfellow Road. These are 1-year bonds, which we're required to do bonding for the funding of that. We may need to go next year when Steve's here for longer term, but this is a short-term borrowing, which the board legally needs to approve and sign the paperwork for our bonding I had a bond counsel review our motion for the board, so it's legal. And we would recommend for the board to approve these because they are basically a one-year bond and they will be due on May 24th of next year.
Questions, Diane or Peter?
I believe we do this every year.
Yes.
We have done it every year. I remember it last year and I remember doing it as a clerk the year before, so.
So still very reasonable interest rates this year, though I'm afraid next year it may be a different story.
Correct.
So Diane, would you like to take on the role of a motion maker?
Yes, thank you. I move that the select board vote to approve the sale of the, oh, this could be a problem for me, $395,238 tax exempt general obligation bond anticipation notes at 1.76% of the town, dated May 24th, 2022, and payable May 24th, 2023 to the Newburyport 5 cent Savings Bank.
Peter Clay seconds it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call vote then. Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes,
Gary, yes, unanimous.
and
Next,
then I move that the select board vote to approve the sale of a $389,290 taxable general obligation bond anticipation notes at 2.45% of the town, dated May 24th, 2022, and payable May 24th, 2023 to the Newburyport 5 cent Savings Bank.
Peter Clay seconds.
any further discussion? Roll call vote. Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes,
Gary, yes, unanimous. Thank you.
Um,
Is that
Mr.
the two
Chairman?
motions or is there a third?
No, just the two.
That's it. All right.
Mr. Chairman, just note
Yes.
to the public, maybe watching this, this goes back, at least one of these was back to 2020 or so for the fire truck. A lot of larger communities right now are using their ARPA funds to pay for the fire trucks. So I'm not recommending that we don't have that, but community, that much money there. But communities are the $3 and the $4 million for ARPA funds. Using that to avoid going out and bonding and just paying for the fire truck straight out.
Well, certainly we've got a good interest rate this year, but if interest rates continue to climb, then that's certainly something we need to consider, whether to pay it off early or not.
would the
Alright.
finance committee chime in on that to help us decide that?
Could do.
Yeah.
All right.
Generally, Diane,
Mhm.
Mr. Chair, if I can follow up on
Sure.
Diane's question. Is if you have a long-term capital, a good long-term capital plan, and you can determine when your next fire trucks or DPW vehicles that you need to purchase, you can plan out a long-term bonding plan to either do this or utilize your reserves to pay it or whatever else funding. But if you plan with a full, and I'm sure Steve's going to be working on this when he comes here, is a long-term capital plan, you can make a long-term financial plan to
Mhm.
determine how to pay them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So this evening, do we have a Human Rights Committee representative here to speak to?
Yes. Yes,
Is that
um,
Martha?
yes,
Yes.
Martha Brennan. I'm the chair of the Wenham Human Rights Committee. Thank you for having me here tonight. I have two requests that have come to bring you. You know that last year we had two successful flag raisings, one for Juneteenth, the new state holiday, and one for Pride Month. I'd like to talk about Juneteenth first. Last year we put together our own Juneteenth celebration. This year we were approached by the North Shore Juneteenth Association with an offer for them to host it, giving us a speaker and a singer and a more robust sort of presentation, which the committee felt really strongly that this is a group that worked for many, many years to get recognition for Juneteenth, and it would be a nice way to honor the work that they had done over the years by accepting their offer to host the event. And we were actually fortunate to, I have reserved their participation for Monday, June 20th, to do this event. So that does come with a small cost of $300. And so I'm asking the board to approve that request for the Juneteenth flag raising. Happy to answer any questions about it.
Diane or Peter?
No questions.
What is the $300? What are we getting for $300?
So you get a speaker from the Juneteenth Association, which will talk about the history. We get a singer and we get a youth poet. And then there's also an opportunity for somebody from the select board to speak, and somebody from our committee to speak. They have kind of a sample agenda. And then I have follow-up questions, which I don't have to do at this meeting, but about how we promote it through our town. I don't know who's doing town social media these days, and how do we get things on the electronic sign that you were talking about earlier. So all the players have changed since last year. So I just need to figure out who to talk to about that. Although Tom is back, so that's kind of fun. So yeah, so
Martha,
yes,
I have a question. It's Peter Clay. How are you?
good.
So are you going to have a chance to just kind of check into the singer, the poet? So that
I have the names of the people. Yes. Yes.
So you can check them so we don't have any crazy surprises like we seemed to have last Friday night.
I wouldn't worry about that, but yes, it's a good question to make sure they're vetted. But we have worked, we worked with the Juneteenth, the North Shore Juneteenth Association last year. We just were too late to the party to actually secure speakers from them. And as you know, last year, since it was the first time as an official state holiday, communities were scrambling to put something together to honor it. So because we had those conversations last year with them, they reached out to us early, which is why we had talked about this back in February, but they are holding the date for us. But I will definitely vet who we're getting, and we will see those names will be part of our publicity to get people to come down as well.
That's great. Thank you.
Will they help you? Will they help us with the publicity?
Yes, they have
Okay.
been, they have been asking me for the finalization on this for a while now, and I've been demurring because we haven't had an official thing. So now I'm anxious to get a flyer to her and finalize things. But obviously with the election and the town meeting, I know the things got delayed. So I guess next year we'll ask in January. But
where would we take the money from, Tom?
That would be me to find.
Oh,
I don't think we need a flag this-
On this, I'm just saying, we'd have to look at various accounts, but the 300, yeah, there should be a way to find them.
and I know that their flags were purchased last year or donated from somebody. So I don't think that flags are needed this year. They might be needed to be located. So that might be something, Tom, you want to make sure you have a flag, because if not, then we want to secure one.
Sure.
I would imagine Michael has the flag somewhere, but I'd like to make a motion to approve $300 for the Human Rights Committee to put together the North Shore, I can't read it, Juneteenth Association for an event on June 20th, 2022 here in Wenham.
Peter Clay seconds.
Very well. Any more discussion?
Uh,
Go ahead, Peter.
Nope.
All right, then the roll call vote. Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes,
Gary, yes.
Great, thank you. The
Martha,
second, yes,
just so you know, the town has actually hired a social media person.
great.
And she works in Margaret Hoffman's office. I think her name is Kate. But she's been posting stuff out. So
Great. Last year, they had an intern that helped with infographics and stuff. Yep, Diane?
we hired a social media person.
We have an additional duty for the, Conservation Commission.
Conservation
worker.
Commission
Yeah.
to help in social media. Okay.
So,
That's
Thank
great.
you.
I will reach out to Margaret and find out how to access that resource.
Kate Mallory.
yes,
Kate Mallory, great. Okay, and my second request is, last year, as you know, we did a Pride Month flag raising on June 1st. And this year, as the committee was discussing it and lamenting over the lack of community events because of COVID and things like that, we wanted to expand a little bit our Pride flag raising to make it a little bit more of a community event and have the participation of the First Church and the Wenham Museum and the Tea House. And that whole location there, maybe bringing in, so let me back up. So last year we did the flag raising. This year we'd like to do the flag raising and a proclamation from which we would have to get to you, I guess, before June 1st. And then we wanted to do a small event along the lines of what was done last September for that Fall Fest, but smaller. It was more, our idea was that we wanted an excuse for people to come down and see each other after being inside all winter. So the police and fire departments are going to do something along the lines of either a touch a truck or, come down and make sure your car seats are buckled in. We're going to have some LGBTQ resources available through NAGLI, which is the North Shore Gay Alliance. We're going to have a participation, like I said, from the restaurant at the Tea House. And so, and potentially the First Church in Wenham is going to participate, possibly with having their choirs sing at the flag raising. So it'll be a nice little reason to come downtown. We're even trying to think possibly, and this is, again, I'm bringing this to you because I didn't know exactly what I needed permission for, if an ice cream truck shows up or we want to have some music playing. So I kind of put all of that in. The other thing that we've done for the past couple of years is lighted up the town hall at night with the rainbow lights, which I think are probably in a closet somewhere at town hall. Hopefully someone knows where they are. And again, we would want to promote the event through the town's social media channels. So this is where I would come to you and ask, what do I need permission to ask? What, I don't know what the motion would be.
well, I think that as we discussed last year, we had the pride flag raising, and like everything else, we have it as a one-day event. So I think what we have here is we need a motion to use the public property. And June 1st is what day of the week, do we know?
It's a Wednesday.
A Wednesday, all right. So it should deconflict with most things. And then my first question would be is, with so many participants, who's taking responsibility for the entire overall project?
That would be the Human Rights Committee
Right.
in terms of organizing it.
Yes. And I think we'll need not a schedule, but a full agenda of what
Yes.
is going to be done. So I think let's hear what Diane and Peter have to say on this, but perhaps this formal approval has to roll to the next meeting once we get full details. Peter?
I think it should roll to the next meeting. When is our next meeting?
2 weeks from tonight, so that would be the
Right.
17th.
Why don't
No, we changed the
It's
17th.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday, the 18th. Yep.
So why don't we get the full schedule and figure out what a motion looks like?
Could we split it into two? Tom, it's okay if not, just to at least confirm that we will at least do a pride flag raising like we did last year, and then the ancillary activities could be approved on the 18th while we firm up those details.
Good plan. I think that's what I was going to recommend, that we'd make a motion to allow the flag raising and allow the Human Rights Committee to get together and come back to us on the 18th with their itinerary for the day, what they need, what they plan. And then we can
Right, I will
finalize that.
say, we have verbal confirmation from all the parties I mentioned that they want to participate. So it's just a matter of getting that all down on a, kind of on a piece of paper, exactly what they want, what they'll do, and, you know, how we'll present it.
Yes, I think that's what we're looking for. So anything else, Peter or Diane?
So
Nope.
can we do can I make a motion
Yeah,
about
so,
the
yeah,
flag?
so if there's no other discussion, Diane, why don't you create that motion for the first part?
You know, creating motions is not really my best thing. I move that the select board approve the Hamilton, oh my God,
The Wenham
Wenham
Human
Human
Rights.
Rights Committee to raise the pride flag on June 1st at 6:30 PM in front of Town Hall.
Peter Clay seconds.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote then, Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes,
Gary, yes, unanimous. And we'll look
Gary,
forward to
can-
getting, what we really need is a full schedule of participation and something that is, you know, formally signed off in writing from Museum Church or whoever
Got it.
you're gonna have involved, all right?
Okay, can I ask one question? Because you brought it up about the one-day event. Last year, we had the pride flag up until June 19th, and then we put up the Juneteenth flag. Is that what you would like to do this year as well?
I think I remember. So we raised the flag on the 1st, and then I think we took it down on the 17th or whatever, and then put up the next one on the 18th or 19th.
The 19th,
That
right?
up and kept
This
that
year
up
it would be
through-
on the 20th because that's when we would do it. But is that what you're thinking would be to do that the same way?
Okay with you,
opposed-
Peter?
I think Martha, it's your recommendation.
I
Right.
would do it that way. I mean, I think it's a Pride Month as opposed to a holiday. So
Right.
it's nice to have it up for as long as we can. And I understand, you know, not having more than one flag up at once gets a little confusing, which I
Right.
think was last year's motive to do it that way.
And
So
then the
as the
Juneteenth
select-
flag stays up for how long?
Well, the Juneteenth is the one day event, right? The
Okay.
holiday, just like you'd have for
Right,
Memorial Day or whatever. So,
right.
and lacking, you know, and we'll get onto this at the workshop perhaps, but lacking a formal policy, why don't we just go as we did last year and we'll work on the full written.
On the
rules
flag
on our
policy,
side too,
right.
Right.
Great. All right. Thank you for that clarification and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing that.
Thank you.
Next funding request. So do you want to take this, Tom, or I can speak to it?
I believe we have a representative here.
Are
don't
we?
Michelle?
All right.
That would be me, Brian Dozer.
Brian, good evening.
How are you?
Very good. Let us hear about our free concerts in the Patton Park. Most are familiar, but let's give the spiel.
Sure. Well, this year we're celebrating well, first I'll introduce myself. It's Brian Dozer. I'm a Wenham resident here. I've been here over 20 years. And we're also celebrating the 20th year of the Sundays in Patton Park series that we do. It's for the most part, it's been 8 consecutive Sundays. Of course, we skipped 1 year for the pandemic, and we had a shortened year last year of 6 concerts. It's pretty much a groundswell of participation throughout the community. Different organizations have contributed every year, as well as the 2 towns and some of the banks and some of the legal firms in town have been very generous. This year we'll start on June 26th. And it'll go to August 14th. Just to give you a little overview, it's it tends to be a little bit heavy on a classic rock type bands because that's what a lot of local bands are. So we have a variety of Hamilton Wenham acts, people who from Hamilton Wenham in them, and And we have some of the larger names here in the New England area, but some classic rock. We have a Rat Pack, kind of a Rat Pack / Broadway review on July 3rd. Santana cover band, which we've never done one that specific, but they have quite a following. Joss Spirit, because we always throw in a little reggae. Backtrack is a Motown type band. Jim Coyle and Friends, he's a local resident, and he'll be doing an Americana type thing, which is very popular these days. Psychedelic Relics, which are another classic rock band, and Tom Palance, who's a Ipswich resident, who's a horn player, and he's going to bring in a big band to kind of kick us off for the final night. Historically, both towns have contributed fairly well, with Wenham generally giving $1,000 to the fund. So we'd love to see a continuation of that. It's been numbers, considering last year was the first year back, the numbers were quite good. In fact, every year over year, for the years that we've had it, the growth has been incredible. Lots of families, lots of people with picnic spreads and pizzas, and it's just a real fun family atmosphere. So if you haven't been, please do stop by. But we'd love it if you would consider to continue the donation that the town has been giving for the last few years.
Questions, Peter or Diane?
All I can say is, well, two things. Being a Philly boy, so there's no Earth, Wind, and Fire, Al Green, Isley Brother cover bands.
Not this year, but we have had a few bands that are along those lines. Definitely one of my favorite types of music, personally.
I was sort of kidding, but so whoever raises money or gets all the advertising for Little League, I mean, have you been to Cheeseman and seen all the ads there? It's insane. So
yeah, we do provide that on the poster. There's postering, there's banners. The town does have its logo up on the under the fundraising part of the banner. Big banners hung over the gazebo itself. Another banner is usually in that space near the senior center where they have the two poles over there. And then we poster throughout the town in Beverly and Manchester, Ipswich, and the major sponsors are listed on all the posters, and the town would be one of them.
So how much of your cost does our 1,500 cover? I'm trying to get a sense of.
Well, it's 1,000 for Wenham, but the 15. It's this year's budget will come in close to $9,000.
Right. And how much do you get from advertisers, sponsors?
You mean anything outside of the two towns offering, plus the I'm forgetting which grant it is, but we apply for one of the arts grants. So we're looking at see, 2,500 for about 5,000 of it is coming from local sponsors.
That's pretty good. All right, thank you.
Diane?
I have no questions. I think we should support this event.
If folks haven't gone, this is great music, and especially for the families out there. All right, we'll take your motion then, Diane.
I move to approve the annual funding of $1,000 for the Sunday concerts in Patton Park.
Peter Clay seconds.
And the roll call vote, if there's no further discussion. Peter?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Gary, yes. Unanimous. Well, thank you, Brian, and hopefully everybody in Wenham will be attending at least several of your concerts this summer.
That'd be great. Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So other matters, I would put forward talking about the schedule a little bit. So I would propose that our next meeting be on May 13th at 10 a.m. to do a little workshop. And I would hope that Tom could coordinate the the agenda, and I think we can arrive at the agenda if the three of us each take a look at the items that we would like to discuss at the workshop, what we think is most important over the next couple of months. And if you just send those ideas in, perhaps with a little expansion, maybe a half page of, the item, what your point is, and what outcomes you'd like to see on that particular subject. What do you think, Peter or Diane?
Send that to you or to Tom?
Tom had his hand up. Is that a volunteer hand or a?
Both a volunteer hand and a comment. That's a great idea, Gary, and May 13th, a good date for all of us, I believe. What I would like to do so that we do come out of this meeting and not spend 2 hours kind of circling around what do we do, is if each individual, Diane, Gary, and Peter, could at least forward to me ideas what they would like to accomplish from this meeting. So we could see if we're all somewhat working together toward the same, same goal for this meeting. Because let's say, not saying that we can't discuss many different things, but I would like to at least have an idea of what we hope to accomplish out of this.
Right.
And I'm
So
just
can
opening
the-
it up to the board at this point.
So can the three of us get that expanded list with the commentary into Tom by Friday, you think?
By Friday,
Uh,
this week?
Yeah. And then, well, because we'll have to post it by Wednesday, and then Monday or Tuesday, we can, Tom can sort through the priorities and duplicates and so forth and put an
Well-
agenda together.
The posting's fine. It's basically workshop for boards,
Right.
goals, objectives, whatever. I don't need to put the specifics. What I'm asking for right now is more specifically from the three board members, what they hope to accomplish
Right.
coming out from this meeting. So if we're putting a workshop guide together, we'll have an idea of what we're looking for at this point. That's just a suggestion.
Right.
So it sounds as if almost two things. One, what is our goal for the workshop? All three of us might have three different ideas on what we plan to accomplish, as well as the items that we want to talk about.
Correct.
So kind of twofold.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
I have to admit, being the ultra newbie here, I'm really going to rely on what I see from Gary and Diane, because I'm just really not sure what the hell we're brainstorming. But I know I know you guys feel it's important, and it must be important. But I'm just,
Yeah, so we found in the past that, the regular select board meetings, as you see, get filled up with approvals and votes and so forth. And we do need to get together and kind of work on larger scale items, as far as investment policy or, last year we were talking about code of conduct a lot and so forth. So if you
Mhm.
just look at what your priorities might be, and then, yeah, let's make it a twofold. What's the goal coming out and what specifics you want to speak about? And we'll have, hour and a half plus from 10 o'clock. So maybe Tom can get the top 6 or whatever.
Mhm.
All right.
and this,
Flexible.
and so this is the three of us plus Tom,
Yes.
and this is not open meeting.
Yes, it's public meeting.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's be public meeting. It's not a reason for an executive session,
Right.
but it'll be without roll call votes and announcements and all the
Nope.
other
Right.
stuff.
No,
Got it.
no public input.
No,
It's,
no.
just us talking, but talking in front of people or virtual, whatever.
Right.
So will that meeting be virtual or are we going to do that in person?
I
And do we
think-
have hybrid technology?
Yeah, so it would be nice to be in person, but that I think involves getting the Board of Health and our votes and so forth prior to it. So I'm thinking one last time here going to be on this workshop, probably stuck with the virtual.
Okay.
All right. So that would be let's schedule May 13th at 10 a.m. for that meeting. And then, as we said, we got the 1 day delay. So the next regular select board meeting will be the 18th. All right. And hopefully, well, I expect by the 18th, we'll also have full year schedule as to proposed dates for all the select board meetings. And Michelle will have started filling in with all the recurring items that on each of the agendas for that. And then I would expect, once we have that calendar, we will, once the FinCom is reformed and reorganized, we'll match up with them as to integrate the full budget cycle into it and go from there.
So if I may, can I
Yes.
throw out some ideas for May 18th?
Yes,
I know that we had some executive session minutes that we pulled aside right before the election that we should probably bring back.
right.
And to talk about, oh, I guess I could do that at the workshop, just the liaisons, the select board, if we're gonna
Right.
liaison with other
Yeah.
committees, but maybe we'll do that at the workshop. I don't know. Yeah, I can save everything else for the workshop. I'm sorry.
All right,
Oh,
Peter,
no,
any other agenda
Diane?
items?
I'm sorry.
Not in my mind.
Right.
I will say this, though, that I've been continuing to do my orientation stuff, and I had a great session with Dana Alara yesterday. That was,
Good. The
Great
school
comment.
committee,
yeah, great conversation.
Yep.
So I'm just working through all the big ones.
right.
Tom,
Right. Diane, I was also including on May 18th, the Little League fields, the scoreboard.
oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yes,
someone
yes,
asked about
yep.
that. the other day.
I've got that on there for the 18th also.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember. I knew there was that one.
Yes, at Stu Blackfield, yes. All right. Anything else, Diane?
Oh, Longfellow.
All
We
right,
should update on Longfellow and Route 1A. Those are the
Right.
things that we're missing.
Okay.
all right. So our one-year tradition then, Peter, if we have nothing else, is you want to make that final motion?
Oh, don't do it yet.
Oh,
On the screen, it says May 31st, but I thought we weren't going to do the third.
yeah, we were not, so.
Okay,
yeah,
so
that-
not May 31st.
Not May 31st.
Okay, so
Right.
we'll have that. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I didn't write it down.
So when is it?
So it'd be first
The first
Tuesday
of
in
June.
June is the, who's got the calendar handy?
Me, June 7th.
June 7th, yes, 7th and 21st in June.
Got it.
All right.
Thank you.
So Catherine, you got everything recorded, okay?
I do, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Catherine, as always. Tom, anything
Thank
else?
you.
All right. So your motion, Peter,
The motion to
to
close the
adjourn.
meeting? Yeah, okay.
Good job.
Peter Clay motions to adjourn this meeting on May 3rd at, can't find the time,
7:30.
7:30 exactly.
Wow, that's amazing. I second that.
Roll call vote then, Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Gary, yes. Thank you. We've had a couple of short meetings, but I think over the next few weeks, we're going to really get a fuller agenda and have to get to work. Thank you, Tom, and the staff as always.
Sounds good.
Anything
Thank
else?
you.
All right.
Thanks, folks.
All right. Good evening.
Thank you. Bye.